Good evening. Welcome to another Discussions. This is Marcus in nursing school. Well, what to update for this past week? Not a whole lot. I guess the biggest thing with our class is that we are waiting on two feedbacks on our care plans that we do. We have not seen them. One's about a week and a half old or so, and one we just turned in this past week. So I know a lot of people have been getting real antsy about to see if they made their 3 satisfactions. So they have, if you get 3 satisfactions, I believe you're good to go. Good to go for the rest of the class, for the rest of the care plans. But the good thing about it is that we get a week off. At least our section of class. We do not have clinicals on Tuesday, and I am looking forward to that. Actually, we don't even have no clinicals, no class, no anything. The campuses are closed because it's election day. Okay, get out and vote. Just vote. So, but I'm happy because that gives me 2 days off from school, at least driving to Chester. But I did line myself up for a 12-hour work day on Tuesday, and it's going to be good. It's going to be good going back to the other county, doing 12 hours, and coming home and off on Wednesday. So, with that, so far so good, doing well, and haven't been studying maybe as hard as I should. So hopefully everybody is. So with that being said, enough of that. So what to talk about? What to elaborate on. This came across my mind. This is nothing new that I'm fixing to talk about. And I don't know what made me think about it. And but anyway, when I first heard this, it made me go and do some research on it. It made me go and look about it. So anyway, we spent some time up in Alaska, and about 12 years, and we got into subsistent hunting, fishing. Not a lot of hunting, to be honest with you. I did more fishing than anything. It was a lot easier for me to do that. And we got into setting crab traps, and we were allowed to do this up in Alaska. With us, we would get king crab, which if you ever watched the Deadliest Catch on the History Channel, I think it's the History Channel that does the Deadliest Catch. You see what the king crabs are. Also, we would get tanners, which is a smaller crab, which, personally, me, I think the tanners have less meat, but boy, they taste good. King crab has bigger crab, bigger meat to harvest from. But, I mean, it tastes good, don't get me wrong, but I think the tanners have more of a flavor to them, more natural flavor. So, why are we talking about crabs? Why are we talking about these crabs here? We're going to talk about the crabs in a bucket phenomenon, if I said that word correctly. Crabs in a bucket. And what I heard, and I don't know where I heard it from or how, maybe in church, maybe I heard a pastor say it, or maybe I heard it on the radio. So what happens is, and I looked it up, and you can look it up too, and it's true. But what happens is, if you got a bucket and crabs are in that bucket, they can get out. If they can get out, if it's like a gigantic tall button, they can't, bucket, they're not going to be able to. But you know what will happen is that a crab will try to crawl out of a bucket. But the problem is, and I've seen this before, where crabs will almost get out. If they got long pinchers on them, long arms, you want to call them arms, they can get up there and clip on and pull themselves up. But what happens is, other crabs will pull them down back into that bucket. I think that's kind of neat. So what's the lesson on this is that these crabs are trying to get out. They're trying to escape. They don't want to be thrown into a bucket of hot, steaming water for supper. So they want to get out. So what happens is they start crawling out, and these other crabs, they pull them back down. Why that is, I don't know. But the lesson learned from this is that we are all in a bucket sometimes in life. We're all down that bucket. Have you ever been in a bucket with other crabs, with your other friends, other co-workers, other people? And you try to crawl out, and you get pulled right back down into the same cesspool, the same gossip ring, the same old, mundane work that's going nowhere. Have you ever been in that part right there? Well, that's the lesson to be learned. How do you get out of this bucket here? Because if you try to, well, no matter what you do, if you really try to better yourself in life, you try to better yourself as a person, better yourself in a career, better yourself in any facet of yourself, people will get jealous. People will get jealous, and people don't know why you're doing these things. And what they're going to end up trying to do is that they're going to try to pull you down back into that bucket. Just like how those other crabs will take that one crab crawling out, and they will pull them right back down in and say, nope, you're staying with us. So, how do you get out of a bucket? How do you get out of that bucket there? There's a couple things I want to share with you. Nothing new here, and just some ideas I came across is, I think the biggest thing, they're all good ideas, but I think one of the biggest thing is you need to find a new bucket. And what do you mean for that? That means, find new friends, or find who you're hanging around with. You need to get out of that bucket. Now, I'm not saying that you got to cut them off 100%. Sometimes you may have to. There. But you got to find yourself a new bucket. Find some new friends to hang around with. I always like to associate with people, and believe me, I am not the brightest crayon in the box. I am not the smartest person. I am not the smartest paramedic by no means. But I like to associate people who are smarter than me. I like to associate with others who I can learn from. I can learn lessons. They can teach me things. Maybe maybe it's something I can teach them. But to make yourself better, you gotta find that new bucket. You gotta find that new people you want to hang around with. So it could be with friends, or maybe you're tired of sitting around. One thing I find myself, and probably with others, is being in school, being in nursing school. There's a lot of sitting. Now, class day is not too bad. In at 9, out by 12. 3 hours, no big deal. But there's a lot of sitting. There's a lot of studying to be done. So I found myself sitting behind the desk. So what are you going to do? How are you going to be more active? Well, be more adventurous. Weather's nice. It's not hot outside. Find you a park. Go for a walk. Walk around your neighborhood. Get out for a little bit. Don't mean you have to go all day, but you know what? Get more active. Get out there. That's a new bucket. Outside. Go out and do some things there. So when you find that new bucket, another thing you have to realize is that when you do that, is that you can become more resilient. You have to get more resilient there. One thing you have to realize is that people who try to pull you back down that bucket, there's just some terrible people out there. No matter what you do, they're not going to like what you're going to be doing. So, you know what? You're going to have to be resilient. You're going to have a thick skin on you. You're going to have to learn to tune out the naysayers, tune out the people who are talking bad about you, maybe gossiping about you, saying, look what they're doing. They think they're better than us now, because they're off doing this. Well, you got to be resilient. You have to take those people and shut them out and move forward. Move forward on what you're doing thing. Another thing you need to do to pull yourself out of this bucket is when you're climbing out of that bucket, and I think everybody can relate to this right here, is that we got to focus on the next thing. Focus on the next thing. One thing I have, and I just think I've I have just done this with experience. Many different classes, many different levels in EMS I've done. Sometimes we think too far ahead. What's the final end for us? To graduate, to get our LPN, for some to graduate and do the bridge program to the ADM and then graduate. But the thing about it is that what's the next thing we need to be focusing on? Our Mod 2 test. Coming up, I think in 2 weeks. Looking at my calendar right here. Oh man, Mod 2's on the 13th. So that'd be next Monday. We got 7 days. So we don't need to be thinking about what the next class is coming up. There's nothing wrong. I've heard people been asking, well, what's this class like? What's the next class is coming up? What are we looking at? Which is harder? Which is easier? You're losing focus. What's the next thing we need to focus on? Our next test. Then what's the next thing we're going to focus on after that? That third test. And after that third test, we do have a final in this class. So, to get out of that bucket, just focus on the next thing. Just focus on the week to come. I focus on between when the one test is done, then my whole focus is on to like Mod 2 tests. Now, there's nothing wrong in kind of thinking ahead, or we got calendars to plan, we have work schedules to do. I do look ahead, and that's my biggest thing is, well, when's class starting, when we're having breaks, when we're having things. That's one thing of looking ahead. But I mean, when you're really just focusing on the big thing, you know what? Stay focused. Keep it narrow. And when you keep things narrow and your focus narrow on little things, before you know it, you'd be crawling out of that bucket. And so when you really start looking too far ahead, you can get distracted in things. And when you get distracted, then you're going to lose your footing. You're going to lose your grip, and guess what's going to happen? You're going to get pulled right back down in that bucket again. And you're going to be starting down all over again. Now, the last thing I need to ask you this is that when you crawl out of that bucket, are you going to be ready? Are you going to be ready whenever you get out? Are you going to be ready for sacrificing self? Sacrificing time, sacrificing, social life, but when you get out, and you're going to be ready, aren't you? When we get done, you're going to be ready to go on with a forward, better your career, ready to go forward. Hey, a lot, better work environment. You can be ready for a better paycheck, maybe better working hours. Or maybe you are just going to be ready and you're going to be more focused to where you want to do a specialty. You want to get into something where you're just more specialized, in the medical field. So, with that being said, we're going to stop right here. I got nothing else to say about that. Is that, no matter what, there's always going to be people pulling you down. And they're going to try to keep you in that bucket. And they don't want to see you succeed. And they don't want to see you to do better. So, with that being said, let's keep climbing, let's keep focused, and let's keep moving on. So with that being said, I'll see you tomorrow morning. Y'all have a great evening, and thank you again for tuning in. Share this on your social media. If you want to, leave a comment, that'd be great. If not, hey, I'm just doing it because this is kind of a hobby that I like to do. Anyway, thanks for listening, and I will talk to y'all later.